Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Nanette, and I'm here for another YNAB Budget With Me session, budgeting out my first October paycheck, which came on the 15th, although I am not recording this session until the 21st. Things have been busy, so I actually did some budgeting and covering overspending off screen. But I saved these few overspent categories to budget out with you guys because I would like to reflect on them out loud. Before I do, though, I have some updates. I did travel on business the week of October 6th, so not last week, but the week before, and that went really, really well. I don't travel well, but I did a pretty great job managing it this time. The flights were great. The hotel was great. The company the people who I spent time with up there were pretty fantastic. This was a PI planning session. I'm in IT as essentially a journey analyst or a product owner, kind of a cross between the two for the work that I'm doing on this particular project. But I knew that if I didn't go and if I tried to attend the session remotely, which I did last year, I did not feel we would get the kind of results that we needed out of this PI planning session. So I'm glad that I went. I definitely think that was true. We got an awful lot more planning done than we have, frankly, in months. It was also pretty great to meet an awful lot of people in person who I've worked with for the last 12 years and never met in person. I've only met a couple of them in person. So that was pretty fun to put real faces with names and just get a little time to bond with them. We went out to dinner and the usual festivities that you do when you have a business trip like that. So that went well. I came back on Friday and immediately took a train up to Savannah for the weekend. And as I said, I'm not much of a traveler, so back-to-back trips was a little demanding. In hindsight, I wouldn't plan it that way, but that's just how things kind of unfolded, and that was the right date to take the Savannah trip. So that's what we did, and it was really fun. It rained, but I enjoyed walking around the historic district in the rain with my handy trench coat that makes it comfortable to do that kind of thing. Very, very fun. Definitely want to go back and repeat that particular weekend again sometime when I am not as tired. So that would be fun. What else? Oh, one other big update. I did get an extension. My end date at work has changed from October 17th to Friday, February 13th. So that's another 120 calendar days, 80 work days, 17 weeks, a little bit less than 4 months, and I am very much going to enjoy the countdown until that date finally comes. I am way overdue for a sabbatical, some kind of retreat, some kind of time away from the rat race and the chaos that is corporate America. Very much looking forward to that. I have about 10 PTO days left from this year, and then I'll earn another, I think, in the range of 5 before February 13th. So roughly I have 65 work days, and I've already worked a couple of, I guess 2 of those, Friday and Monday. So 63 days to go, roughly. I don't think I'll keep that close of an eye on it, but I will enjoy the countdown with you guys as the weeks unfold. Now, to the budget. What we see here on the screen is $7,770.83. That's my gross paycheck. In order to get that down to my net paycheck, we will go through, we'll budget out the payroll stuff. Well, before I do that, let me cover we have some uncharacteristic overspending, and by calling it uncharacteristic, I feel like I am placing a judgment on this, and I don't feel like overspending is necessarily good or bad or has a moral connotation to it unless it is habitual, where we are not being honest with ourselves about what it costs to live our lives. Overspending in general is just reflects the reality that we can't always predict the future. So let's reflect a little bit on what's happened here. For Fun and Adventures, I had to gut the Fun and Adventures Fund to cover the business expenses that will end up getting reimbursed, as well as the Savannah trip, which will not be reimbursed. With gutting it, I still have $207.91 of overspending that I am going to cover with the home maintenance category group, because that's the category that I've been tapping into for anything that goes awry lately. I want to keep it north of 8,000, the balance in that category. And in order to cover the clothing overspending, we're probably going to make it dip down below that. So let's see what has happened here. So for clothing, I am not much of a clothes horse, so I rarely buy clothes, but when I do, I have a tendency to buy quite a few things at one time. And if we look at, let me go back into, I don't know that this will, I think I have to go to all in order to demonstrate what I want to demonstrate here. And it's in inevitable stuff, so let's expand this and bring clothing to the top of the screen. So if we go back to January of this year, we'll see that we came into January with $965. Actually, did we come in with more than that? We came in with $847.67. Oh, and then this is actually a positive number. So I must have returned some clothes for $118.24. So we had $965. If I click on here, the goal was to get to 1,000 by December 31st of 24, which we were at 95% there. Targets in YNAB are the bane of my existence. I don't always manage them as well as I should. And this is a good example of it, where in December of 24, I was only at 95% of target. Okay, and then 25, it stays at the same number because I had already funded 957.42 or 957.92, but then more money came in. Is this making sense? So this money had been spent and then got returned. It doesn't change what had been funded, which was the 957.92. It just changes the remaining balance. Then we go to February, and in February is not where I did it. March is where I put in the balance of 4208. So that met the target, but because the target wasn't met until after the deadline, it didn't pick up and say, well, maybe it's not even set to, let's edit this target and see what it is. It doesn't even have a repeat in here. So if I click repeat, and I want to repeat it every single year, and save it, still says that we've met the target. See what it did? It says that we met the target for December 31st of 2025, but we really, for the entire year, I think this is the only money that I ever put into. Now I'm frustrated because I just realized I don't have my AirPods in, which means the quality of the sound is probably not great. Sorry for that realization right now, but here we go. I'm just going to keep going and let's see what the quality turns out to be. Okay, so if I keep bouncing through all of 2025, we will see that that 4208 is the only money that I budgeted towards clothing for the entire year. And here we are in October. We're spending the money that was invested for last year. So in that way, I don't feel at all bad overspending by $399.59. I am going to change the target. Am I going to change the target, or am I just going to put more money in? Well, first thing I'm going to do is just cover this overspending. And I am, yes, yet again, going to grab it from the home maintenance category group. I'm still distracted by not having my AirPods in. So guys, tell me in the comments, if you will, if there is a vast difference in the sound quality for this video versus other videos that you've heard of mine. I would really appreciate that kind of feedback if you don't mind. Now, I would just want to note that, yep, I did take the home maintenance category group down below the $8,000 mark, so we'll need to address that in this session, but I'm going to do it after I have covered all the overspending and we have just a little bit more here. I don't know how to feel about this. Most of what I got for the cat this month was regular supplies from Pet Supermarket. Litter, some toys, a new scratching pad, that kind of stuff. And it was not exorbitant. But last week, I guess it's showing up on Sunday of this week, I succumbed to some rabid advertising on Instagram for this Whiskertons toy that I hope is going to amuse my cat. And most toys that I buy her amuse her for a short period of time, but she loves to hunt, and this is one of those hunting toys where it's a suction cup that adheres to the floor, and then it's got a wire that has feathers hung to it. I think that's going to appeal to her, so I'll have to let you guys know if it is worth the $68.77. But she has been driving me crazy lately. So this one I'm not going to use the home maintenance category group. I'm going to cover it from clinic costs, which is in the same category group as the all the things category for the cat. So that has all been covered. Now we still have the gross pay on the screen, and we're going to take it to down to the net pay. But before we do that, I do want to show you one thing in the payroll stuff that is meaningful to me and probably not anyone else. But here we go. Social Security. We are $187.14 from meeting the goal for the year. And as you can see, that's exactly how much they took out this paycheck. So I am going to reset the available amount and scroll back up here to admire the handy dandy green check mark. I've met yet another goal for the year, which wasn't really hard because I knew as long as I worked this long, I would max out the Social Security for the year. So now we go back to the overspent area, and let's knock out the rest of this. So for the rest of the payroll expenses, that comes to $1,622.97. We'll reset those available amounts, and we're that much closer to my net pay. Now we'll knock out the stock purchase plan and the HSA contribution for another $777.08. Don't click the underfunded, it's the reset available amounts. Okay. Now we are left with a net income of $4,979.47. My main goal for this pay period is to finish funding November. So first thing I want to do is see if there's any underfunding that I want to cover. I don't want to touch the payroll or the retirement stuff, but I do want to address the underspending. I'm not underspending this category, I can assure you of that. As a matter of fact, it looks like, yeah, I've got some things that are categorized as dining out that are actually groceries. So it might take me a minute to fix these, but let me do that while I'm thinking about it. To plan, go here. Did that work? Community lows. Okay, those are dining out expenses. $28.67. That one is another one. That is groceries. The only time that I get dining out at Grassroots is when I get a juice there. So sometimes YNAB will miscategorize those. Let me keep going here. Everything else does indeed look to be valid dining out expenses. Okay, so we've corrected that. I now have $115.86 left in the month. Excuse me. But we will top it out with the $31.39 shortfall from the target for the month. And I don't ever address my payroll or retirement stuff with net pay. Well, with the exception, there's one that's not in this filter. Okie dokie. So now I am going to jump into November and see if I can get Yeah, I'm going to do it on the underfunded screen. I usually bounce through the YNAB questions, but I think I'm just going to go through using the underfunded button, and let's see where this takes us. Personal care, I am not adding any more to personal care for November because I've already got plenty assigned to cover haircuts. And I haven't been, as you can see, I have an overabundance of money in there, and I haven't been scheduling massages, so I'm just going to let that ride. For the more of my stuff category group, I want to cover all of these expenses for $237.52. These are just irregular bills or annual bills for utilities and whatnot. For fun stuff, fitness, I'll put in the $80 studio fee, but I'm not adding anything for personal training because there's already plenty of money sitting there that would cover it were I to schedule personal training. Just haven't been doing that. For garden supplies, I'll put in another 100. For Feed Me, I'll go ahead and top that out. I'll put the full 350 in this month in November, but I do want to make a mental note to myself that I want to release any extra funds at the end of October so that I don't have an overabundance in dining out. I'd like to keep that in check. Fun and adventures, I will absolutely add $100 to put a little bit more money back in the kitty for that. As far as their stuff goes, we want to cover, we're going to add $115.70 for gifts, $79.06 for Christmas, and $270 for Papa Payback. For the cat stuff, this is going to ask for $421.28, but I don't want to put all of that in there. Let's see, I'll put $100 in all of the things, and then top up pet sitting. I usually cap that at 100, so I'll add 75 for that. And then for clinic costs, I will add $123.72. Totally botched that number. Let me try that again. I want to bring that up to, yeah, I totally blew that. All right, so it's going to be 2, 1. Keep trying. I've done this before. 203.72. Does that bring it to 600? Okay, there. I did some mental math while recording. Yippee for me. For annual stuff, this is mostly subscriptions, underfunded by $125.28. We'll cover that. For business stuff, let me double check that we're not clicking anything we don't want to. All of these are valid items to cover the underfunding. $239.56. That's taken care of. We already did the cat stuff. For helpful hands, we are sitting at $260. I am going to go ahead and add in another couple hundred in here. And then payroll stuff and retirement. Per the usual, I'm not going to do anything there. Now, what do I want to do? Let me go to all, and assigned in November is $4,195.96. Let me bounce back into today, and I want to just look at this for a second. So down here, yeah, $41.95.96. That feels, I'm thinking I would like to put in as much as $5,000 out here, but let me take one other look at that. So if I look at the underfunded amounts, I don't want to put more in personal care. Don't want to put more in fitness. Oh, I don't know that I hit the inevitable stuff. I do want to add more to tax holding, car maintenance, and home and car insurance deductibles. So let's cover that, $747.28. Helping hands, I don't want to put 400 in here right now. That doesn't feel like the best use of my money. So let's go back here again, and now we're at $49.43.24. I would like to go ahead and put in the remaining, I think it's $56.76. Let's put another $56.76 somewhere in November. Where shall we put that money? Let's put it in home maintenance. 56, 76. I don't know that I did the mental math right this time, but let's see what happens if I click on all. Yep, I put a full $5,000 in. All right, that feels pretty darn good. Now we still have $1,868.20. What can we do with this money? Let's see. There's a few places that I think I want to put it. First up, let's go right back into, where is it? I think it's in stability. So let me collapse this and grab inevitable. Let's bring this home maintenance category group back up north of 8,000. If you are saying to yourself, she just took out $400, well actually $600 from home maintenance, and here I am putting $400 back in here. Yeah, I'm aware that that's what I'm doing. I could have covered both of the overspent categories that I covered with home maintenance. I could have covered them from ready to assign, but this is an arbitrary rule that I made for myself so that I'm never taking from my future. I'm always taking from the money that I already have available to me if I do any overspending. And it's just a way that I keep my spending habits in check, and my money management habits more so than my spending habits, because I think my spending habits are already, I'm as frugal as I want to be, and also as abundant as I want to be. Okay, I don't like the fact that clothing is now sitting with nothing in it, especially considering the fact that I've only put in the $42 this year. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add the $468.20 here. And then if I come on down to, where do I want to be? I think I want to be in resilience, creation. Yeah, creation. I think that will do it. The investments. I have a goal of investing $24,000 outside of my 401k and my IRA this year, and I'm at 81% with another $4,500 to go. So I think I'll go ahead and do $3,500. Where does that leave me? Gosh, my OCD brain wants this number to be 4,000 instead of 3,500. And I'm just realizing I have another way of making that happen. So for right now, I'm real happy with putting the remainder of my net income there. So that feels pretty good. But lo and behold, we have some additional money sitting down here in please hold. And this $699.09, I'm going to move that to ready to assign. And that is made up of $390 of reimbursement expenses for some professional membership fees that I got covered by the company, as well as $56.52 cash back thus far this month, and $252.57 of interest thus far this month. And that all came from my high yield savings account. So let's take 500 of this $699.09 and tuck it into investments for an even $4,000 this month, which is sitting here not invested yet. So I've got to get that invested. Hopefully by the next video, you'll be able to demonstrate that I have invested that. And that leaves us with $3,000 to go for the month. And I have, what do I have? I think 5 paychecks left this month, 2 in November, 2 in December, and 1 more for October. So that should be an easy win. And then we're left with $199.09. Let's tuck that into fun and adventure so that we have, if I have the opportunity to do one more excursion or fun thing in the month of October, it'll easily be funded whether I get my reimbursed expenses back or not. All right, we did it. Thanks so much for being here with me as I go through my budgeting life. Come down here. I love seeing November, what I'm going to assume, well, for me, is fully funded with my first October paycheck. That's how I want things to roll going forward with the remainder of my paychecks. Gosh, how many more do I have of them? If I have 5 more this year and 3 next year, 8 more paychecks to go before I'm potentially drawing off of, well, you know what? I'm not going to be drawing off of retirement savings. What I will be doing is using my early retirement funds, which you could consider an emergency fund, but it's just going to be what I'm drawing off of. I'll add to this when I get my severance check, and my goal is to be at least 18 months of expenses sitting in that category. It will be in my high yield savings account, so it won't be doing nothing for me, but it won't be doing that much because high yield savings interest is coming down just a little bit. But that is my current strategy. If you have other, if you manage your retirement, what am I trying to say? I'm guessing that most of the people on YouTube watching Budget With Me videos are probably much younger than I am, but I know a few of you are probably closer to my age. I would be really, really curious how you are managing your retirement savings. If you're, I'm sorry, I'm not articulating this very well, but this transition from receiving paychecks to then drawing off of savings and retirement savings, I would love to hear how you manage that money. I have not had an awful lot of time or energy to really strategize much on it. This is my current strategy, just to bolster this up, and then probably keep it. Maybe every quarter I would tap into retirement funds to keep it up. Somewhere between 12 and 18 months of expenses. And we'll see how that goes. I think that that strategy should certainly work for the next year or so. All right, enough babbling. Thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate your kind comments. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe so that you'll see the next video. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and I really appreciate you watching. Take care.